Hey there, everybody. Today we're going to talk about another training trend for 2019. One of my favorite subjects is onboarding. I love onboarding because it is a critical part of bringing on new hires, as well as taking them through a process that either wines and dines them or turns them off. You know, studies show that usually within the first month or two, a new employee has already made the decision that whether or not they will stay at an organization or they will be making their exodus in the next couple of months, weeks, whatever, or year. And so with that being said, especially now that, you know, back in my day when we were employed, we were afraid to leave a job earlier than a year, right? We sat on jobs because we understood that your job history dictated what the next opportunity would be. We understood that companies were really looking for longevity. And so, but now because the new generation, whether you're talking about Generation Z, the new millennials, whatever it is, now it's not really a thing to stay on a job for 10, 15 years. It really doesn't matter if you are a job hopper or whatever, because skills and talent and all of that rules. And so with that being said, one of the things that I really encourage organizations to do is to extend their onboarding beyond just, the employee manual. This is how you work a computer. This is the lunch program, beyond the basic level things. A lot of companies usually have a typical onboarding process of about a week. What I really challenge organizations to do is to actually implement an extensive onboarding program that lasts upwards to a year. And so over that year, you are going to bring the employee on, and you're going to take them through a true growth process, training them on the standards, the SOPs, or the actual processes, the expectations, the way and the flow of the department, right? You're going to use that opportunity to really acclimate the employee to that new role. So this way also you're establishing a specific guideline, a specific standard that by which you prefer for your team members to operate. It is critical that, okay, in this program not only will include, your manual training, it will not only include your harassment training, your safety training, all of the just general elements of training, but it will also include things like communication skills, especially for those like in customer service roles. I remember running and overseeing call centers. And one of the things that you find in call centers is that there is really high turnover because there's burnout. So with that being said, stress management needs to be a portion of that year-long training. You don't just think about the soft skills. You don't just think about, or the critical skills. You think about the personal development skills. You think about the skills holistically that your team members need to succeed in their role. If this is a high stress position, if this is a position that requires long hours, has emotional turmoil, you may want to implement some emotional intelligence training in there. So really looking at, again, we talk about holistically looking at the needs of a department beyond just these are the individual needs, or this is just beyond just like the general trainings that we assign ourselves each year. It's critical that you look at the holistic needs per department, so that way you are able to make sure that each department first has what they need, and then you start looking at the individual needs throughout the organization, and you start with the largest needs first and you train on those as well. But it is critical that your onboarding program is also tied into your progress plans. It's also critical that you tie them into PIPs. So there is so much more to training than just picking a emotional intelligence training or, selecting a customer service training or whatever. There's so much more that goes into the assessment and deciding what it is that you need to train on and why that is critical and what that needs to look like. So with that being said, get in on some of these trends this year so you can get ahead of the curve and you can be a trendsetter in your industry, but most importantly, you can disrupt the industries that you serve because you are ahead of the curve and you're thinking outside the box as it relates to training. And so with that being said, you guys have a crazy good week. We will be back at it tomorrow, providing you guys with more teaching and training trends that you should consider implementing to actually grow and develop your teams, your leaders, your organization as a whole. So with that, y'all have a crazy good week.